Have you ever heard the saying, "Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it"? Well, for a woman named Clara, this wasn't just a saying. It was the story of how her perfect life crumbled, all because she underestimated the man who loved her most. Clara had it all: a beautiful home, a thriving career, and a husband, Mark, who absolutely adored her. To their friends, they were the perfect couple. Mark was the quiet, steady type, a man of few words but deep actions. He was the kind of husband who remembered her favorite flowers, warmed up her car on cold mornings, and always had her back. He was her rock, her biggest fan. But for Clara, this unwavering devotion started to feel predictable, safe. She loved Mark, or at least, she thought she did. But a part of her craved the thrill of the unknown, the spark of a new flame. She started to see his quiet strength not as a virtue, but as a weakness. She believed he loved her so much, was so dependent on her, that he would never, ever leave, no matter what she did. And that, right there, was her first mistake. The temptation arrived in the form of a charismatic colleague named Julian. He was everything Mark wasn't: flashy, spontaneous, and showered her with the kind of slick compliments she hadn't heard in years. It started with harmless flirtation over coffee, then late-night texts that made her heart race. Clara told herself it was just a game, a little secret to make her feel alive again. She convinced herself it didn't mean anything, that it didn't affect her life with Mark. But secrets are like weeds. They grow in the dark and choke out everything good. The late nights at the office became more frequent. The secretive phone calls and hidden text messages became a normal part of her routine. She was living a double life, and she was getting good at it. When she was with Mark, she'd feel a pang of guilt, but she'd quickly push it away. She'd look at his trusting eyes and think, "He'll never know. And even if he did, he'd forgive me. He can't live without me." She saw his love not as a gift, but as a chain that bound him to her forever. Mark, however, was not oblivious. He was quiet, but he wasn't blind. He started noticing the small things: the way Clara guarded her phone like it was a national secret, the vague answers about where she'd been, the emotional distance that had grown between them, a cold space in their bed that no blanket could warm. He tried to talk to her, to bridge the gap. "Is everything okay, Clara? You seem distant," he'd ask, his voice full of genuine concern. Clara would just wave it off. "Don't be silly, Mark. I'm just stressed from work," she'd say, flashing a practiced smile. Each lie was another brick in the wall she was building between them. She didn't realize that Mark wasn't just building a life with her. He was also observing. He was seeing a pattern, and his heart was breaking in silence. He hoped he was wrong, prayed he was just being paranoid, but the evidence was becoming impossible to ignore. The breaking point came on their anniversary. Mark had planned a special evening. He cooked her favorite meal, bought a beautiful necklace she'd been admiring, and waited for her to come home, hoping to reconnect, to find the woman he fell in love with again. But Clara never showed up. She sent a quick text. "So sorry. Stuck in a huge project at work. Don't wait up." But Mark knew. A gut feeling, a sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. He knew she wasn't at work. Acting on a desperate impulse he never thought he'd have, he drove past Julian's apartment. And there it was. Clara's car, parked right outside. In that moment, the quiet, steady foundation of Mark's world shattered into a million pieces. The man who rarely showed emotion felt a cold, hard anger settle in his chest. But he didn't storm up to the door. He didn't make a scene. He just turned the car around and drove home in complete, deafening silence. When Clara finally tiptoed in after midnight, she found Mark sitting on the sofa, the uneaten dinner cold on the table, the gift box unopened. The look on his face wasn't the explosive anger she might have expected. It wasn't the tearful pleading she had secretly prepared for. It was something far worse: emptiness. His eyes, which once held so much love for her, were now vacant, looking right through her as if she were a ghost. "Where were you, Clara?" he asked, his voice chillingly calm. She started her usual lie. "I told you, work was—" But he cut her off. "No, tell me the truth." The finality in his tone made her freeze. For the first time, she felt a genuine flicker of fear. The game was over. So, she confessed, the whole sordid affair, the lies, the deceit. Through it all, she was still expecting a fight, tears, a negotiation. She was expecting him to beg her to stay, to promise they could work through it. Because he loved her, right? He'd never leave. But Mark just listened. When she was done, there was a long, heavy silence. Then he stood up. He didn't yell, he didn't cry. He simply said, "I see." He walked to their bedroom, packed a single bag with a few essentials, and walked back to the front door. Clara was stunned into silence. This wasn't happening. This wasn't the script she had written in her head. "Mark, wait! Where are you going? Let's talk about this!" she cried, panic finally setting in. He paused at the door and turned to look at her one last time. There was no anger, no sadness, just a profound and chilling finality. "There's nothing left to talk about, Clara," he said, his voice as cold and empty as his eyes. "You didn't just break a promise. You broke the man who made it." And with that, he walked out the door and closed it softly behind him, leaving Clara alone in the wreckage of the life she had so carelessly destroyed. The silence that followed was the loudest sound Clara had ever heard. In the days and weeks that followed, she expected him to call, to come back. But there was nothing. The man she thought was too weak to leave had shown a strength she never knew he possessed. The strength to walk away from a love that was no longer respected. His exit wasn't a fiery explosion. It was a quiet, cold implosion, pulling all the warmth and light from her world. Clara got what she wanted. She was free from the predictable love she had taken for granted. But in its place was a cold, empty freedom she never imagined. She learned the hardest way that the quietest people often have the loudest goodbyes, and that you never truly know the value of what you have until it's gone for good. Mark's exit was colder than her betrayal, a final silent testament to the fact that even the deepest love has its limits. This story is a powerful reminder to cherish the love you are given, and to never mistake kindness for weakness. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is walk away. What do you think? Could you forgive a betrayal like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content just like this. See you in the next one.